it's a beer podcast, not always about beer. So there's that.
All right, welcome to Florida's Drinking Report, brought to you by Sailfish Brewing Company. I'm your captain again today, Dave Bushea, joined again by Emily Hayhurst and special guests Brian Miller and Matt Atkinson.
Hello.
Shout out to Brian Tonneson, who's not here today. I think last year's Key West Beer Fest did a number on him, so he was scared to come back.
I think we may have gone a little aggressive on him.
A little aggressive.
It was because of the squirt.
Yeah.
Squirt. Yeah. It was definitely what did him in.
I'm starting to be a little more afraid than I was earlier today for this afternoon.
Shout out to Nate, our producer. I think Brian Miller said he's going to destroy him today.
I mean, somebody's got to fill in for Tonneson, so let's do it. Ain't gonna be me.
Coming to you live in Key West at Lost Boy Creations. Matt, thanks for having us.
I'm glad you guys can make it. It's a cool spot to be.
Fantastic
hosting a
spot,
podcast.
man. Fantastic spot. Congratulations. Spot's
Thank
amazing. Spot's amazing. Well, it is a drinking report. What's everybody drinking today?
Light tackle for me.
Light tackle.
Sunrise
Light tackle.
City.
I have both. I have Sunrise City and Light Tackle. Apparently, I'm going to wreck myself
Dave
today.
is going
So,
for it today.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
First podcast on the road in Key West. All right, so let's talk about Key West. We have 2 residents, 1 ex-resident.
Yes.
What brought everybody to Key West? Brian, tell us what brought you down here.
My wife and I got married down here in 2010.
Okay.
I had never been. She had been a couple times before. Came down, just immediately fell in love with it. Got to the point where we were coming down, 10 days at a time for vacation, 5-6 times a year. It just was like it just got over it. Had to make the move.
Yeah. And now your whole family's pretty much down here.
Yeah.
Or almost the whole
Yeah.
family.
So we've been here 9 years. My parents moved down 4 years ago.
Okay.
And then my brother moved to Cape Coral about a year ago. So.
You'll get him down. He'll be down.
Yeah, so like once the kids are grown enough.
Fair.
That's kind of like
Fair.
you did before, though. He's down
Right.
enough that he practically lives here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's here all the time.
Yeah, Steve's a
Yeah.
honorary resident.
Yeah.
And you've been in beer for a long time. You have the great bearded lady next door to Lost Boy, which is a fantastic spot to come check out. Anytime you guys are in Key West, it's the best craft beer spot in town.
Isn't it voted every year the best craft beer spot by the Above Awards?
Yep. We got a nice little plaques hanging up above the taps, and yeah.
Well
Fantastic.
deserved. You have
Fantastic.
a great selection over there.
Thank you.
For a short time, or maybe still during this time, Brian's been the unofficial mayor of Key West. At least if you're in the beer scene, he's the unofficial mayor.
I know my way around.
It's really on the cusp of official at this point.
Between you and Larry, I think, Angry Larry.
We cover a lot of ground.
Shout out to Angry Larry.
Yep.
Angry Larry is Brian's dad, by the way.
And it's not just a clever nickname.
It is not. If you know Larry, you'll understand why.
Local celebrity.
It's endearing.
Yeah.
He's an endearing kind of angry.
Yeah. I mean, like his favorite tagline is, "You can't get along with me. You can't get along with anybody, or everybody, whatever."
All right, and Matt, so I met you 6-7 years ago, back when you were down the street from here in a smaller woodworking shop, and
Yeah.
tell us your story. Like we hit it off with our connection to St. John, I think initially, and
Yeah, that
tell
was
us
a
where
wild trip,
Yeah.
And you saw this at the very birth of what this is now. It was a 300 square foot little tiny shop in Bahama Village down by Blue Heaven. I wound up moving here from St. John after Hurricane Irma, which affected kind of all of us in a weird way. We got slaughtered down there, and along with the other islands, the BVIs, but St. John and Tortola really took the brunt of it. So we didn't really have a place to go back to. We were away on vacation and had no home to come back to. And my girlfriend at the time used to live here. She was been here probably about as long as you, maybe a little longer.
Yeah.
And it was the closest thing I could find to St. John that wasn't St. John.
That's a fair analysis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd come to visit her doing the whole long distance thing a few times, really loved it. And then when push came to shove, I couldn't picture really going back anywhere besides a tropical island somewhere. And as everyone down here refers to it as Key Weird, this is about as off the grid as you're going to get in the U.S.
Yeah.
So it made sense. It's a little funky being a surfboard shaper in a place with no waves. I'm the only idiot doing that, but it seemed to resonate. So it's worked, and enough so that we've been able to move over here. And between Brian and I, with Bearded Lady and Lost Boy, we've made Southern Street kind of a
You guys
cool little
definitely
epicenter.
brought the street back, and not that it was lost before, but you guys really have made an impact here for sure.
It's been fun.
That was the goal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Emily, tell us about your experience down here. You lived down here for about a year.
A year.
Yeah.
I was here a year. I moved down here with a previous wholesaler to open up the Florida Keys. And I can't say that Key West chewed me up and spit me out. We hung well, but it was time to go. It was just time to go. My liver was begging me, please, it's time to go. So that's where
The beer drinkers go pro.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I would be trying to hang with Miller, and
That
again,
didn't
like
work out very well.
it didn't, and I'm like, yeah, half your size.
Very fortunate to have Miller down here while you were down here because me traveling, I was down here as much as I could, and having Miller, your pseudo big brother, for lack of a better
Literally.
term,
Yeah.
letting me know that hey, Dave, I put her in an Uber, she's going home.
She's in the Uber. She's going home. All right.
She's safe.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a great time.
That's how this community works too, though.
Yeah.
Everybody looks out for. We
we
were
all
just
look out
having
for
the
each other.
conversation
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah.
If you can make it, and if you don't get chewed up and spit out, or if the community embraces you, we all look out for each other.
It's 100%.
And the embracing aspect's such a big thing, and just tying back to beer for a second. Everybody always has their sights on Florida, and they also have their sights on Key West. To grow a brand, launch a brand, whatever you want to call it, and it's not complicated, but embracing yourself in the community, being a part of the community, showing back up, going back repeated times, being as involved as you possibly can be, and the showing back up aspect of things, people see that, and that's what starts to develop, and they start to embrace you. And I feel like I've become a pseudo,
Local.
like your brother, not quite, but,
but
honorary
been here
local,
enough, yep.
And been here enough, especially with Emily living down here. So, I always tell people, some of my best friends and relationships are down here, and just a great group of people on this island, and
It's wild to see that these people come back time and time again. You could probably speak to this as well. How many times being a bartender or a shop owner or a bar owner, you get people that come in and they have these, oh, remember this and good to see you and blah, blah, blah. And half the time, you just have to smile and nod your head and you're like, yeah, of course. But people, it resonates with people.
you still
in a
drinking
way.
that beverage?
I too like.
It resonates with people though. And
The
they
usual
found it.
handsome random beer.
They put their claws into this place and this is their spot.
No, for sure.
It's awesome. Yeah, I think even now, even though I don't live here, I still get the locals discount. So at like most bars. So everyone takes care of everybody.
No, just like we went fishing yesterday. Shout out to Barbie. She set that up for us with
Yep.
Jay and sorry, what was the mate's name again?
Kai.
Kai. Sorry, Kai. And great time yesterday. Great guys, and just it's easy. It doesn't mean to be super complicated. Jay's like, hey, what do you guys want to do today?
Yep.
We'd like to catch some fish. So what's biting right now? So very fortunate. Got a few
That's the
dolphin
goal.
yesterday.
Yep.
Miller had the great idea when we got back after lunch to take over to Dante's, have them cook it up for us, and honestly,
They do a
So
great job.
good.
fantastic.
Yep, they do a
God,
great job.
that was really, really good. I
It
wish we would have
was-
ordered more fried.
Yeah.
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 That black end.
Yeah,
melted in your
usually I
mouth.
do 50-50 on the black end and the fried.
Yeah.
And just leave the regular out.
Yeah.
But
No, fantastic meal yesterday.
Delicious. Well
So
done,
Matt,
guys.
oh yeah, definitely. So Matt, Lost Boy Creations. Tell us about that. Where did that come from? How did it start? I know a little bit about met you, crafting surfboards, paddle boards. What you were crafting it out of.
Yeah, to your point about how we linked up and kicked it off kind of right out of the gate in the old spot was fishing and surfing and just being on the water and being enthusiasts of the outdoors and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
It really was kind of birthed from that. We were building paddle boards, boats, just the idea was to play first, work second. My mom used to call us the Lost Boys living in Neverland because it was truly a lawless land down there, as you've probably witnessed a few times being down in the islands. Kind of a self-governing area.
Very self-governing. Yeah.
Yeah, don't screw around and you'll be fine. And,
And if you screw around, you'll find out.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to use some other choice words, but I opted to leave those out. Really, it started as a fun way for me to create the things I loved, being a surfer and being an angler.
And you were based in St. John. Did you bounce around the islands at all, or that was your kind of home base?
Home base was St. John,
Okay.
always. I was there for about eight and a half years
Okay.
before the storm came through, and I had a wood shop at my house, and we were building a 32-foot power cat, and if there was waves, we'd surf first. If it was glass, we'd go fishing. If
Yeah.
it was windy, we'd go sailing. Whatever we could do first, and then we come back to work. And that was kind of where the mentality of Live Like a Lost Boy came from. It was just the idea of having fun, really embracing all the things that you enjoy doing. And that's what gave birth to the stuff that we are building now. And a lot of the designs that we have, it's just what we enjoy doing. And the idea is to embrace that.
No, and your logo. People talk a lot about, Sailfish's logo, up there simple. I mean, your logo here has become synonymous with Key West, and just that whole lost spoil description you just said there. I mean, this logo is awesome.
Thank
I mean,
you.
great job with
appreciate
that.
it. Yeah, it's wild to see where it's gone, and especially again, being a surfboard shop in a place that there's no waves, it speaks volumes to the logo and the mentality behind it all, which has been awesome.
Yeah, and your shop's amazing. I mean, your merchandise. I mean, it's
Thank you.
You know, the shirts, the hats, everything you do that is.
I still have my prized quilt, like one of these blankets that has one of your prints on it. And it's
the best.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get
Love that
requests for
blanket.
stuff all the time that we've had in the past, and that's why we have our retired hats up on the ceiling here, just to kind of pay homage to all the cool things that we've done in the past. And we've had people come in and offer us ridiculous money for some of them. And the idea is to keep this. Yeah. We've had a few wild
I love
ones.
that one. I do love that one.
But it's cool to see the history and the growth of it through some of these different products, or people coming in and saying, "Oh man, I have this," and I remember you sold it at this place, or we were mentioning the Goombay Festival earlier, and that was our first limited edition hat we did, and people still ask for that hat.
Man, the Pride hat. I remember the Pride
Oh, yeah,
hat
that
was
was great.
like
Yep.
so sought after. And I was down here, and I had people up north been like, can you please go get me that hat? And you didn't have any.
Nope.
Yeah, they go fast.
Yeah, they went quick.
Fortunately, having Bearded Lady next door, it's been great. So we do these limited editions, and we open the doors at 11. And traditionally, we have people lining up at like 9 o'clock in the morning to wait for the hats, which is
Love that.
It's crazy. It's like a new set of Jordans dropping or something. And these guys have gotten wise to it now, so they just have a bartender come in early and open it at like 9 o'clock. And they just
Landon just comes in at like 9:30. He's like, all right, we're open. Let's
pumping
go.
out some drinks for
I mean,
everybody.
everybody's lined up anyways. So
I mean,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
leverage the relationship.
We want to do it
Yeah.
the old Hawaiian style, where you leave your flip flops in line. You guys can go into the Bearded Lady, have a drink.
Love that.
and
Put
come
your
back.
flip-flops in line. That's
fun.
amazing. So, the boards. Tell us about that. 'Cause that was the first thing that caught my eye when I walked into your wood shop 6-7 years ago, whenever that was. Where'd that come from? I mean,
That was I apprenticed with a. He will never say it, but I would imagine he's a master boat builder. He's built 57-foot sailing cats,
Okay.
or in that
Wow.
range, high 50s, and all from wood. He apprenticed for years with a guy named Doug Jane out of South Carolina. They were working on an old decommissioned naval base in South Carolina, Charleston,
Okay.
actually, and so they were building these boats. He learned from him, and I wound up in St. John and was looking for some surf buddies and came across him with a board one day, and we hit it off and found out that he built the boats. He knew that I was into woodworking, and it kind of just sparked this relationship. So we were building a tree house for him out on his property out in Coral Bay, which was
Wait, a tree house in Coral Bay.
Yeah, true Swiss Family Robinson style.
Yeah.
I mean, three floors.
Was that
and a
one of
floating
up one of the
porch.
mountains, or was it like
Yeah,
more? Okay,
yeah, it was
gotcha.
up
That's
on a
awesome.
mountain. It was wild.
Was that the Carolina mountain there, or was that?
It was on the, I guess it would technically be the east side of Bordeaux Mountain.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And
That's pretty remote too.
very.
Yeah.
We had to take every piece of wood down about 200 yards of switchbacks to get it down there.
Jesus.
And I always bugged him about building boats. His brother had started a company in Lyons, Colorado called Carve Industries. They were building wooden paddle boards, wooden surfboards, wooden skateboards. And I didn't really get intrigued with that. I always wanted to build my own surfboards, just being a surfer and just being a craftsman. I thought it would be really cool to ride something I built. And then we started, finally, I poked the bear enough about asking to learn to build boats. And he always was like, I'll never build another one. I'll never build another one. Finally, one day, he was like, all right, I think we're going to build another one. So we came up to my house. We turned my whole backyard into a boatyard, and we started building this monstrosity. It started as a 17-foot boat, which between the two of us and our wonderful ingenuity grew to like 20 feet, and then 24, 27, 30, 34, or 32, whatever it was. So yeah.
Well, you're like, I want to do this. I need a little extra more foot in the boat to be able to do this.
It
and
was
this
crazy.
And this.
Yeah,
And,
it had a bowsprit like a pirate ship. I mean, it looked like a prop out of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Amazing.
But what I realized when we were doing it, when we were laying the fiberglass on it, and I'd seen some of the boards his brother had built before and that he had built. But I realized when you lay the fiberglass down with epoxy, it becomes clear. And so if you have these really nice woods,
So that's coming through. You can see it,
and all the boats he had made previously, especially at that size, you're painting because you're using fairing filler to cover low spots and this and that. But I was infatuated with seeing the wood through the fiberglass. I thought it was so cool that you can see it and you never even saw anything over it, this hard candy shell basically over the wood.
Yeah.
So I started picking his brain a little bit more about that, and then when I got to St. John, or to Key West rather, and really decided to give the business a true college try. Before I was selling T-shirts out of my truck and whatever. I tried to give it the real shot, and I decided that's what I wanted to build. And people said, "Hey, you got to find something else to build. You got to find furniture or whatever, just something to pay the bills." And I knew if I went down that black hole that I would never get back out. So I just dedicated the time to learning to build the boards. So we use all local woods. Everything's all coming from Key West. Rainbow eucalyptus, Cuban mahogany, tropical almond, tamarind, blue maho. There's so many wild tropical hardwoods that we have here that you can't find anywhere else in the States. And these are
So how do you harvest those? I mean, is it
It's
permits? Is it or do you not want to talk about
No,
that?
I call it the rarest wood in the world because we're a city. We're a 2x4 island, which is primarily buildings. There's no forest you can go harvest from. So these trees are all coming down in municipalities. They're all coming down in front of schools, libraries, people's homes, and they go to public notice. And the city decides, okay, we're going to let this tree come down. Because most of them are also historic. They call them heritage trees. They've been here for 200-something years. In fact, Southern Street, where we are right now, I've seen old pictures. It looks like a plantation road, basically, with these big elm. They would have elm trees and plantation roads on either side, just lined up the whole way.
Wow.
These were all Cuban mahogany trees. And you can still see them if you go out there. If you look down the street, there's just one after the next. Far fewer than there was before. So as these come down, the handful of woodworkers here, it's a mad dash to be the first one to get your hands on it. And we bring them up on a tow truck. We just grab a wrecker and pay them to throw it on the wrecker, and they bring it up to my buddy's mill, and then we actually mill everything, age it, and then further mill it down to make the pieces needed for the boards.
Wow,
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How do you get it to not be so heavy, like your surfboards?
So they're all hollow construction, which
Okay.
there's only a handful of us in the country that do this. And
Okay.
it's very, time restrictive and very cost prohibitive. They're definitely a labor of love, about 120 to 140 hours per board.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so it's basically, if you've seen an airplane wing, on a model airplane, where you have this structure and then you put paper over it or whatnot,
Right.
it's basically the same exact thing. So you have this internal framework, and then we lay single strips along the sides and the bottom and make it bottom deck.
I feel
and
like,
top
I
deck.
do remember seeing, I think when you were building one out at some point in the past couple of years, how you had the strips laid out on it.
Yeah, we came in one time where you had the frame structure in place and you're
It's
starting to put the
alien.
strips down. Yeah.
It's completely alien when you see it because it's hard to believe that eventually it'll be a complete board. And they usually come in weighing right around 35 pounds or something, so they're a little heavier than your standard.
Still, that's not
paddleboard.
that.
but
I mean, what you're looking at, that's not a lot. Yeah.
anything that size is cumbersome, but
Yeah.
an extra few pounds to have something that looks that pretty is pretty cool.
Right.
No, it's amazing.
And they're beautiful.
Is it become when people are acquiring or asking to make these things? Is it more decorative pieces that they're looking at as, or they're actually using these things?
Probably a 50-50 split.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, some of the
They look
boards-
beautiful. I mean, you just
Yeah.
want to have it on display. I mean,
that's the beauty of it. I feel
Yeah.
like people can hang them up above their mantle as a centerpiece, but then when they want to go use them, they can take them
laser
down.
up, we'll grab it and go.
Exactly.
And is it primarily surfboards or paddle boards?
For the wood ones, primarily paddle boards.
Okay.
We still shape regular surfboards, and just like the paddle boards, we just ship them all over the place. There's
Gotcha.
no surfing here, so I've sent boards to Texas, Washington, New Hampshire, mainland Florida, the UK. So
Wow.
yeah, all over the place.
You're doing
Yeah.
a really beautiful bar top back there on a surfboard.
Yeah, that's a really special project.
Yes. Tell
It's
us.
our friends at Sugar Shack Sessions in Bonita Springs. If you're not familiar with them, definitely give them a follow and check them out. They're an amazing group of individuals that are audiovisual technicians, but they're also musicians, and they've got a YouTube channel called Sugar Shack Sessions, and they have reggae musicians come down and perform in basically the back deck of their house. And it's really cool. So they've been doing this for about 8 years, and they've got really notable musicians that come down. It's a full experience if you're there as a guest or as a patron.
Did it become one of those places if they're coming down to play a concert, we got to stop off at Sugar Shack and play a quick session?
It's hallowed grounds at this point.
Gotcha,
The people
nice.
that have played over the years have gotten so much bigger. Stick Figure played when they were nobodies, and they just came down to Key West and blew it out.
Awesome,
There's
man.
lots of these
Awesome.
awesome bands. They just had Stephen Marley there. There's tons of
That's
people.
cool. That's
So they
really
finally
cool.
got big enough that they're opening their own venue in Bonita Springs. It's a 5,000 seat venue. It's going to have a beer garden, restaurant, a coffee bar, recording studio, and a podcast studio.
That's so fun.
So these two boards, they called us, inquired about doing them. They said, "Hey, can you build us a board?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. What for?" And they said they were going to rip it down the center with a skill saw. I laughed at my buddy Eddie, and I was like, over my dead body, are you taking a saw to one of my boards? I was
I only put 140 hours in this for you to cut it in half.
So I couldn't do it. I said, listen, I won't charge you a cent more. I'll make you 2 separate halves.
Okay.
And so what they're going to do, actually, what their plan was to rip it down the center. They're going to mount both halves to a wall as a bar top, as like a dry bar.
badass.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it'll be really neat. So hopefully, if anyone makes their way over to the new venue, they'll be able to see some of our work.
Hell
That's
yeah,
awesome.
that's fantastic. Yes, I mean, dovetailing off of the Sugar Shack example there, I mean, you're involved in the music scene. And talk about Key West in general, stick figure, revivalist. I mean, people may not know how impressive the music scene is in Key West in
Yeah.
general. And then, Matt, your ties to it for a long time, I'm imagining, with that kind of genre of music and what you have done so far, what you plan to do. I mean, how'd you get into you like that music and it started to...
Yeah, we have a really eclectic flavor for music and taste for music. The biggest thing for us is that being in a wood shop, as most people are, they always have music going, and that's part of it. We joke around that it's the soundtrack of the shop, and we always have music going. You could walk in, there'll be Wu-Tang playing, and then the next day there'll be Barry Manilow, or it is so off the walls, and you never know what you're gonna hear. We were jamming out to MC5, Kick Out the Jams the other day. People walked in, they're like, what? But I've always loved music. They say those who can't play, teach or whatever. That's kind of been the mentality for me. I knew that I wanted to be involved in the music industry, so we've teamed up with a lot of great bands, making hats for them, and that just kind of came by way of being a fan and being introduced to some of these people and being close to that industry. And I've had a lot of great musicians come in here and inquire about doing hats. We've done hats with Roman Duddy. Back to your point about the music scene exploding down here, it's really turning into a little mini Nashville between the amphitheater, the Key West Theater.
That's fair. I mean, there's been some great artists that in the past couple recent years that are just. Okay,
some of the best shows I've been to have been down here.
Yeah.
It's honestly amazing. The amphitheater's amazing.
Yeah.
And what you've kind of turned into is a somewhat following in Sugar Shack's footsteps is you're becoming a stop-off point for some of these music acts coming down. Yeah.
We're trying. It was great linking up with Sugar Shack as well. Same kind of deal, this serendipitous meeting where they came in, they stumbled into the shop one day, and we had just started doing our Rock in the Shop YouTube channel, which is really... we did it because they were really good at what they did, and we completely wanted to rip it off. And I shot myself in the foot.
Shout out to Sugar Shack. Thank you for the motivation,
and no one will touch them. They're about as good as it gets. From production to final product. I mean, they have something that it's catching lightning in a bottle. They've got such a great group of individuals doing it. We could only aspire to do what they try to do, and we're such a small area, and we don't have the musicians that stop over like they do on the mainland. But coincidentally, one of the people that works for Sugar Shack, Barrett, their sound engineer, stumbled in here one day and looks at the instruments and goes, "Man, what are you doing in here?" I was like, "Well, we do this whole thing." And I looked at his shirt, and he's got a Sugar Shack shirt on. I go, "Actually, Sugar Shack. That's pretty much, we do this because we wanted to emulate what they do." He goes, "Oh, I'm the sound tech." I was like, oh no, I completely burned myself. So he leaves, and about 45 minutes later, 9 dudes come rolling back in here, and it's the whole team, the owners, the founders,
So did you guys square up and throw down, or was it like
I was ready to call Brian. I'm like, dude, I need some backup in here.
We weren't sure what was going to happen.
On the contrary, they were like the most amazing, humble people ever.
Yeah.
They offered help. We sat down for 2 hours. They walked me through how to do X, Y, and Z, and offered, hey, if you need anything, call us. We're happy to do this. And it's created an amazing relationship since. So we're actually doing some collaboration hats with Sugar Shack as well,
Nice.
coming up soon for the new venue. We've got the boards in the works. We co-sponsored their stage at Reggae Rise Up in St. Pete, which happens every March. We'll probably try to do the same thing again next year. We hosted a bunch of meet and greets with the bands that we did hats for, which were the Expendables, Ballyhoo. We previously did the Roman Duddy hats. Our friend Joe Samba, who's an amazing musician, who's kind of cut his teeth here in Key West and has
cut his teeth. There's that term again.
Yeah, been part of the fam.
We had to educate Emily a couple podcasts ago what cutting your teeth meant.
I still don't like it. It just makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't know.
It's actually when you grind them down into daggers is really the yes. Yeah, like vampire teeth. That's
I mean, I get it, but
funny story. Our first podcast, we talked about this on the last one we did with Brian and Nick and Mike. After we aired it, a lot of people come up to us and say, "Oh, Emily, we loved your podcast."
Oh,
So she went from like really quickly third chair to first chair. So now it's her podcast, and we're just here hanging out. You know, I'm
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
literally everyone was just like,
Thank
"Oh my
you,
god, I
Emily.
love your podcast," and I'm like, "It's not mine. I was just on it." So here we are now, though, forever.
So clearly,
You got
you're the
color
most
now
marketable
forever.
one.
Exactly.
That was my audition.
Yeah.
You know,
All right, you can carry it away. You can carry the rest of the episode then.
I'm just gonna keep drinking my beer. I'm here for fun.
Well, I mean, you know, it's fun. Speaking of fun, I mean, all the things that we're tied to, and you know, did you think the connections you have, the music scene, all that stuff at the time, you were just keep grinding it and things happen?
Yeah, I mean, I would be lying to say that I haven't been extremely lucky and fortunate. I've said it already today, but serendipitous is the word that I use to describe it. It's amazing how many people walk in at the most pivotal moments where we're looking for a connection for this or an intro for X, Y, or Z, and it just happens.
Yeah.
It's been really amazing. And I think a lot of that is a testament to Key West in general and the people that are coming here, like-minded individuals. You know, there's rarely people that come down and are accepted in this community that are not of the same kind of culture in mind, you know, traveled and well-versed in just life experiences.
Just good people. And like we were reminded last night by one of Brian's bartenders at Bearded Lady that people that drink Sailfish are just good people.
It was
And he
so
was very
nice.
Cody was right.
drunkenly sincere when he said that, and it was so sweet, meant so much. And he told us, he's like, that Sailfish Sunrise City sells so well, Bearded Lady. He's like, but something about Sailfish people, they're just good people.
Sweet.
And it was nice. And again, to what we're talking about, it's just
Just the
surrounding yourself with
culture.
good people.
Well, these good people and, you know, the beer culture and music are just so closely, they fit so perfectly. And, you know, it's just like what we've been doing. These connections that we made with all these different musicians, they just keep rolling because, again, we're like-minded individuals that they feel comfortable working with or feel comfortable being around or talking to and kind of opening up to, which has made a huge difference. So we intend to keep that ball rolling. We've got a little project in the works that hopefully will be soon we'll be able to announce and launch, but it's music related, we'll say that.
No, it's great, man. No, I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
hopefully be part of that too.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
really. I know you've been trying to do that for a long time, so that's really exciting.
I'm very
really
excited
exciting.
for it.
Yeah, like I can't tell you how many times Maddie's just come next door and like, dude, you're not gonna believe this shit. And just list off like whatever banger of an idea is coming up with, or like what band he's gonna be able to work with, and like, goddamn.
Yeah, it's been fun. And I always joke with my business partner, who's very much he's very much the pragmatic, you know, business-minded individual. How do we generate revenue? This, that. I'm way more the artist and don't care. But a lot of these connections or a lot of these different experiences, whether it be music or fishing or surfing or whatnot, I'll put in the time for the opportunity. That is payment to me. Like I'm so
I'm the same
happy
way.
to
I
be
get that.
present.
Yeah.
Like that's good.
And you never know what comes out of it
No.
too. And that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing. Just putting yourself out there, being, you know, luck is, you know, it's all what you prepare for. And
Yeah.
if you're prepared for the situations you're in, it's not necessarily luck. You just, you know, worked hard to be in the right place at the right time with the foundation and groundwork you put in place so far.
It's also just those like relationships are, I mean, you can't put a price tag on that. They're just so valuable, and those experiences that come from those people, those relationships that you have, and just like, yeah, you can't put a price tag on that at all.
And when you really need it to, it's amazing who comes out of the woodwork from these past relationships that you may not think anything
Right.
of. You know,
Right.
it's when the time is right and the time is necessary, the right people step up, which has been
Right.
great.
Yeah, for sure.
Miller, you seem to be, is that beer bringing you back to life over there?
A little
or?
bit, a little bit, a little bit.
Yeah, we're struggling through this very well.
I'm definitely feeling better now than I did about an hour ago.
Yeah.
I had
yeah.
2 Tums in my pocket, and I just look at them like, take these Tums. Just eat these.
Those helped.
Yeah, Key West in general, but Key West Beer Fest weekend is
It's brutal to begin with.
it is really to begin with, and it's great because you see a bunch of people you only see once a year sometimes at some of these beer fests in the craft beer industry, and you know it's
Did
just
you
it's
say
a
crap beer industry?
craft beer industry.
Okay.
Sorry,
You heard what
I'm
you wanted to
a
hear.
little
hungover?
cotton mouth,
Little hungover?
hungover-ish.
Was
so
it the 7 JMO
little
shots
fuzzy.
in an hour, or?
it wasn't an hour.
It was like an hour and a half.
Space, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miller orders them, and I have no choice to take one with him. So it's just
Yeah, pretty much.
You
how it
literally
goes.
said no 3 times, and there it was in front of you.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna blame Lizzie on that one.
yeah.
So-
She definitely instigated most of that.
See?
Yeah.
Not my fault.
So can I ask you guys what to expect for Beer Fest? Because I've never been. This is I'm a
Well-
I'm a
Cheers and
virgin to
beers
beer.
and tears.
I mean, it's hot outside.
Yep.
It's long, but it's a great group of people, Everybody's having a great time. A lot
So
of
much
great
fun.
breweries out there. A lot of great beer. Pace yourself. Drink lots of water.
Yep. That's what happened to me yesterday.
Don't
Let's
get
not do that
sucked
again.
into the bar at Southernmost Cafe and start doing JMO shots like tends to happen.
Drink water. That's the thing. I'm like, man, water needs to be everywhere, everywhere. But it's got to the point where everyone's so prepped and educated on Key West Beer Fest. You got your hydration packet in your pocket. You bring your own giant ass bottle of Yeti water Yeti.
But it's on the beach at Somo.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no better spot to do it at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's one big tent in the middle. It's got about half of them, and then more line up around the perimeter.
The learning curve will be real for me today.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
it's amazing.
I have a feeling you'll adapt very quickly, though, Matt.
Yeah.
Let me just prep myself here.
Yeah. I got faith in you.
Everybody take their milk thistle.
Yeah.
Or-
1 for 1 beer mixed with milk
Literally.
thistle. Yeah.
I will take my milk thistle with my beer.
Well, Nate, how we doing on time?
You guys have another 15.
Minute 15. Wow, that goes
I
by
know that.
so quick.
You've been doing a lot of fishing lately, and that's obviously something that's a really big part of what we do here.
Mm-hmm.
You just caught a personal best tarpon,
Yeah, it's probably about 100-pound tarpon, we'd say, guesstimating.
triple-digit fish.
Just
or-
an-
that's a win.
It was amazing, and we had very fortunate to go out with Mike Holliday, who's a big champion of Captains for Clean Water, which they just passed a pretty significant bill in the past couple of
Huge,
weeks.
huge.
I think it's diverting 37% water from being discharged, and they're actually going to start sending water down the state again, which is honestly amazing.
Oh wow!
And
I didn't know that was.
yeah, and then by I think
Wow.
by 2030, and I could be wrong when I say this, but it's supposed to reduce it by 70%. But the most important thing is actually requiring the Army Corps to actually elicit input when they start to discharge, and not just arbitrarily doing it.
Yeah.
And like, let's sit down and talk about this. What makes the most sense? Where do we want to send it, and not just all send it to one spot. And nature's so resilient. And we've already seen it up by us in the Treasure Coast. I mean, it's some of the thickest grass that we've seen up there in a long time, and that just starts to transition, and you're eventually going to see that all the way down to here in the marine environment of just how that will benefit everybody of just getting that cleaner water in there, allowing nature to rebound, and it's like I said earlier, it's resilient. We're going to see it bounce back, and that fishery we have up there specifically is just so ripe to prepare or embrace that ability to rebound, and we're going to see it come back quick, I think, and it's going to be nice to see. And
I'm glad they're making changes like that because we've seen it down here with a number of the different species, and there's still so much to be learned about them, but at least bringing the ecosystem back to where it should be is such a huge thing. Captains for Clean Water has done a great job, really, on the front line of that. Making it
No,
all
for sure.
happen.
And it's a long and nothing happens fast, right? And for them to get a win like this is like years in the making, and it's really cool to see. But back to what you brought up there was the fish. Amazing. Very fortunate to have Nate out there filming the entire thing. Had Kenny out there with me. Mike put us on the fish. Lily launched right out of there just south of the Stewart Causeway and saw some tarpon rolling. Had some thread fins, threw them out there, and I was lucky enough to get hit and held on for the next 45 minutes. And I was covered in sweat to the point I could barely hold on to the rod. And every time I get it close to the boat, I mean, it's like pulling a goddamn anchor. I mean, it's
It's
just dragging that thing in and turn it different ways depending on which way it's rolling, and then finally getting to the boat was exhilarating. And to get that scale I still have from that tarpon's pretty awesome.
Your
armor.
tarpon was
Yeah.
like this size of Robbie's tarpon.
It was that
It was-
prehistoric
Oh,
looking
yeah.
tarpon size. Yeah,
Sure.
And
Yeah.
if you haven't been to Robbie's, you can feed the tarpon there and put your arm in a tarpon's mouth. Just want to throw that out there real quick.
And just don't get
stop
pulled in.
all the time.
The mouths are rough.
They're-
They're not teeth, but they're rough for
Yeah.
sure.
They suck your forearm.
That's why I think it's
I
a
mean-
fair battle. You got to grab it barehanded.
Oh, yeah.
No gloves. It's a fair fight at that point. Let them chew you up a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely jump in the water with them and wrestle them.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's something that I'm so fortunate, not having surf here,
Mm-hmm.
being such a big part of this shop and this business, is I've kind of transitioned to the whole fishing industry because this is one of the most storied fisheries in the country.
No,
What's
it's
your
amazing.
biggest fish? What's your coolest biggest fish?
I'm probably around the same triple digit tarpon, somewhere in that
Yeah.
little mid, 110, something like that.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to be on a boat with two local captains, Drew Iman from Keys on the Fly and Jeffrey Holland from Feel and Fishy Charters, both amazing anglers and guides. And it was a fun day for us. Went out to the Marquesas, and Jeffrey landed what we guesstimate to be around 160-pound tarpon on a
Wow.
10-weight fly rod.
God,
A
man.
A fly rod?
Yeah, it was.
I assume you didn't get it
Oh,
back in.
I've got all the pictures. We got the pictures.
Did you get it
Oh
in?
yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
shit.
Yeah,
On
so
a
it's
fly
some-
rod?
it's
There's a
some-
picture on the wall over
Damn,
here.
It's
that's
sometimes easier to
awesome.
bring in on a fly rod,
Yeah.
honestly, sometimes. So, yeah.
Really?
It's interesting for sure, but it's a battle, and it's so cool just to see, what this area has provided in the natural ecosystem of these fish. It's insane. What you fly over when you're flying in, and I always look down looking for fish in schools because you can see it. They're flowing 2-3 feet of water. It's
Right.
unlike anywhere I've ever been in my life.
Well,
to
especially
fish.
fishing the flats here, but like Cudjoe or Sugarloaf going out of there. It's a very much non-forgiving area, so it makes you know where you're going. Even the fact that we have a hard bottom here, and if you know where you're going, you're going to learn out pretty damn quick. So it's almost like you have to know what you're doing to fish down here, and
sure.
it's spending the time and knowing where to go.
You have to know what you're doing to drive a boat down here.
Yeah.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah, the credit card
true.
captains have paid their dues over and over and over down here. I used to have I
Credit
used
card
to run it-
captains,
I know,
yeah.
I love that. I was like, that's hilarious.
Oh, that's what we used to always call them because I can't tell you how many times I'd say daily you drive out to Marvin or to Snipes or
just
Jewfish
see
and
the-
there's either
Yep.
trails or boats up on the
Yep.
dry, and I had a charter boat down here for a brief time just doing day trips, and I went out and bought myself a little 16.5-foot canoe, a little fishing,
Nate's got one of those.
skiff. I love it. I loved it. I and being the boat builder I am, I completely overhauled it. I put a casting deck on the front, I had a live well. I mean, it was completely
It's a
overdone.
$100,000
You
canoe
had a
now.
live well?
Yeah,
That's
it was wild.
awesome.
It was pretty cool.
That's
so
really cool.
I redid this, and that was my knockaround boat, where literally I would try new spots and be like, oh, can't go here. Have to get out and push the thing back off the flats. And
Yep.
it's interesting. I've never driven a boat down here or down anywhere where it's so unforgiving. It's the truth.
No, it definitely is. The lobstering, is that something you do much down here?
It's so different. I've just went lobstering for the first time down here for the mini season, which Governor DeSantis just put the 2 days in for
Yeah.
additional time before the season opens up. I had a blast. There's definitely a lot of boats. I hate to say that it's dangerous, but that's how I believe.
No, it's dangerous.
It's
Yeah.
wildly
That's
dangerous.
really dangerous.
Absolutely.
I can't say I necessarily agree with it. I think that I think it's a detriment to the lobster population for the rest of the year. If people can't wait 2 weeks, they probably shouldn't be out there doing it. But either way, it was a lot of fun. I've always loved lobstering, but the wildest thing for me is that you're in 3-4 feet of water. Whereas when I was in St. John, I had lobster all the time. I never saw a lobster under 20 feet.
Yeah, that's fair, yeah.
So you had to have a good breath hold. I mean, the biggest lobster I caught was probably around 26 feet down, and took me about 4 or 5 tries. And it was a battle.
Can you tank dive on those, or is it all free diving, spear, or
You can't spear.
Okay. Can't spear.
It was
That's only-
down there. It was a limit of 2 per person per day.
Okay.
But the season was open year round. There was no season for it. And
Go get your dinner
you
any
could
time of
tank.
day.
You could tank on them. You could do all that. Yeah, but they were. Again, you didn't see them in that depth of water, so it was a lot harder to get to them.
The first time I went lobstering, grew up in West Virginia, and we're not lobstering there. And so for the first time I go, this was probably like
Oh, yeah, that
4
was hilarious,
some years ago, and I finally get on one, and I'm like, oh, I got this one. We're gonna get them. And put my net. I'm tickling them, trying to get them. Put my net in front of them. I didn't know those fuckers swam backwards.
I could visualize her expression in her mask in the water. She looked at me. She's like, "What just happened?" I'm like, "They swim backwards."
I didn't know they swam backwards. Oh, so pissed.
Well, they move so slow, and then as soon as you grab them, my
Oh,
God, they
they're
can
a fight.
fly.
Yeah.
They can fly.
It's like, swoop.
Yeah, they're going so
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've had so many opportunities, and I've walked away with nothing.
Well, you speared a ginormous dinosaur
Yeah,
lobster.
we were down in Daniel Cay in the Bahamas, and it was a really cool place we stayed at. When you run a villa, it comes like a little 19-foot Boston whaler, so you can go to Farmer's Cay, do all this cool stuff. But anyways, we hooked up with a few Bahamians, and they put us on their spots, and we were out there dragging.
And it was like local spot. Like,
Oh, yeah.
the locals took us. It's like when you come down here and you get that local inside secret, and they took us out.
Yeah, but I speared this one, and I brought it up, and this thing,
It was pretty.
you know how it looked big underwater, and
Yeah.
you bring them up, it was still big.
Oh, yeah.
You
it was.
literally come up
That's a
with
good one.
it on its spear, and it's like antennas, and it was just a giant sea bug. It was big. And they-
Cockroaches of the sea. Gotta love them.
They deep fried it, and it was incredible.
Yeah.
I've never
Yeah.
had the deep fried lobster situation. It was amazing.
Very
Good
stuff.
job. Well done.
Thanks.
Still thinking about that lobster.
I'm glad you guys got your lunch done at Dante's too. They do such a great job. And
Yeah, great
it's
job.
Yeah.
the seafood down here too. It's
you can't beat
there's
it.
so many different spots. I've always been partial to New England seafood, cold water seafood, just being from
We
the
had that
Boston area.
conversation.
Yeah.
Last night
Yep.
we were just talking about this with everybody.
And but there's something to be said about some of these fish that they have down here. I mean, and the fact that you can eat a lot of the reef fish here is awesome. It's a sign that at least the environment's healthy enough to do that. There's a lot of
Yeah.
places you can't, with ciguatera or mercury poisoning or whatnot. And but yeah, grabbing a hogfish or even just yellowtail or some grunts just for tacos. There's so many
Still works out
opportunities.
Yeah, you
here.
caught your first hogfish down here. I actually
Was it down here?
yeah.
Oh, it was down here.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was. Yeah, I did. I caught him, and it was when he was coming up. I was like, oh, that's a snapper. And then I saw his little head. I'm like, that's a hogfish.
So
We
the-
got
nah,
one.
nah.
Yeah, I was like,
We almost released it accidentally too when
no,
she
no. I'm a terrible. I cannot hold the fish. I'm so bad at it. I go to grab it, and I'm just full. It's not cute. And they gave it to me, and they were like, Emily, do not drop this hog snapper. Like, this is the prized hog snapper. And he flipped out. He jumped off the top of the bow, and someone got him, and we got him. But
I think both my dad and I dove at the fish.
your dad was like, I will not talk. I almost didn't talk to you for the rest of the day. And I was like, I would have deserved it. Totally.
You'll earn that one.
Yeah, definitely. I'm like, put me in timeout. I deserve it.
Yeah, hopefully one day we'll get back to building boats in some manner through the shop, and we can get out and do some fishing on something that we crafted here. Which
Oh
That'd be
man,
fun.
that's gotta be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One day it's you need some space, and that's one thing Key West does not have is space.
Oh,
Not a lot of
gosh, that's
space.
No.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. Yeah.
Well, guys, Matt, thanks again for having us today. Love
So
hearing your
happy you guys
story.
came in.
Love for all your success you've had over the years, and just keep grinding it out, doing what you're doing. Looking forward to being part of that. Hopefully,
Thank you. Yeah, I'm
growth,
very
helping you
excited
out,
for
what we
that.
can do
That'd be cool.
as well. And we have Key West Beer Fest. Is Angry Larry making it out today?
Not sure. Not
Okay.
sure.
He'll be out.
He'll be out. Yeah.
My favorite thing is
Probably,
like
but-
plans here are so not plans.
Right, it's
It's
good.
maybe
Yeah,
they'll show
whatever.
up, and
Maybe.
everybody knows that maybe they'll show up. Maybe.
maybe.
It's just,
Maybe is a 95% yes.
It
Yeah.
is, but if they don't show up, you're also, I call it flaky loyal. Like, that they're loyal, they're going to show up, but you're not surprised if they don't.
Yeah, it's kind of whatever.
Yeah.
That's the keys in a nutshell right there.
Yep. Yep.
Well, thanks again. Coming to you live from Key West. Great to be down here again. Matt, thanks for having us. We're going to go partake in Key West Beer Fest here in a few minutes. So,
I'm going to have a fat light tackle.
fat light tackle.
Yeah.
Cheers
Yeah.
on
Cheers.
that.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks again. It's good to see everybody.
Thanks again for coming, guys.
Yeah.
Awesome. Glad we were able to do it here.
No, thanks again,
Same.
Matt.
It was a great time.
All right, guys. Until next time, thanks for joining us today on Florida's Drinking Report. Coming to you on a remote location from Lost Boy Creations in Key West. Getting ready to partake in the Key West Beer Fest festivities. And until next time, guys, thanks a lot.
Woo!
Yeah.